Welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing podcast. I'm Kaye Doran, a shamanic leadership coach and healer, guiding you through life with a foot in both worlds. When you understand the terrain of the inner landscapes, the mental, emotional, spiritual and energetic, you will become the leader within your physical life, both personally and professionally. After all, the power of change is in your hands. Let's get this journey started. Welcome back to Inner Voice of Knowing. I say it every time, but I'm excited to have my guest, and I suppose it would be wrong of me to do a podcast where I wasn't excited by every guest that I have on. My guest today is Cindy Kennedy, host of the Sass Soul podcast. She's the creator of a bold one-woman show called Good Girl Gone Rogue, which is exactly what it sounds like, calling out everything we were told about being good. She has a book on the way exploring what it really takes to live and lead on your own terms. And known for her big hair, her big laugh, and zero tolerance for playing it safe, I'm looking forward to this conversation. Cindy, welcome to Inner Voice of Knowing.
Oh, thanks, Kaye. I am super delighted to be here.
It's wonderful. We met, I just love the tapestry of life. We met quite a few years ago now, both with sort of the curlyish hair, and we sat together, we buddied up, and then it was years later that we crossed paths again when you came to ceremony.
Yes.
And clearly by divine appointment now. And the more I got to know you, and I did attend your one-woman show, and it is phenomenal. You are so talented, and the voice that you bring for women in that show, it's insightful, it's laugh out loud, funny, it's very, very clever with a really powerful message. And that's you, Cindy. You know, so where did this journey start for you? Were you like this as a child?
Well, this is what I think is so important for so many of us women to note, is that my answer to that right now is yes, 100%. But I didn't always see myself that way, right? Because my identity in some ways was a bit of a split one, meaning there's part of me that felt, using my language of my Good Girl Gone Rogue show, there's a part of me that felt very rogue. And I was always an explorer about life and about people and nature. Like that was very innate for me.
Mm-hmm.
But the other part of me was very much identified as a good girl, like really wanting to please people and wanting to make sure everybody feels seen and supported, even if that meant I would dim myself and not put myself in. So I look back and go, man, I was rogue, and I've made so many rogue choices in my life. But I the other part of the identity would sometimes get in its way. And so, yes, I was, and now I understand myself more that I always have been.
I love that, because we can't completely get rid of the real core element of who we are, can we? We can try to mask it. You know, we can try to be the good girl. We can try to fit in, but we really can't fully contain it. Do you agree?
Oh, 100%. And I believe, like, when I'm living it, I know, and it's very palpable. And when I'm not, I still feel it, but I feel it in my frustration. I feel it in my lack of alignment. So it's always there.
So did you start giving everybody else the very things that you actually were seeking for yourself?
Ooh, you mean as a kid or just through my life?
Just through life.
Really good question. Well, it's interesting. It brings up a memory I have of when I decided to go back and explore performing and acting in my late 20s. It was one of the many things that I thought about pursuing after high school, but I was one of those people that, like, I was so interested in so many things. It wasn't like, oh no, what am I going to do with my life? I'm like, oh no, how can I fit everything that I want to do and experience into this life?
Yeah.
And it was one that I decided not to overtly follow. But in my later 20s, I was exploring it, and there was this film program or a course that I
Mm.
took, and one of the women that was leading it, she said something interesting when she watched me do a scene with someone and then how I was. And she said, "My sense of you is that you've always allowed other people to shine."
Wow.
And I went, and at the time, I'm like, "What are you talking about?" Because I felt like I used to shine a lot. But I think what she was getting at, and I look back at it later, is that I started feeling like I was standing out too much. And so
Yeah.
I would dim my light to make, in my mind, what I was doing was trying to make other people feel comfortable because I also saw so much beauty and joy in humans that I could
Wow.
see how amazing they were, even when they didn't see it for themselves. People that was close to, people I weren't, even in school. I did well in school. I wanted to do well, but it wasn't hard for me to do well.
Yeah.
And I'd see others who would work so damn hard and let's just say scholastically maybe not show up. And they were never given a chance in the school system to be recognized for their effort or their humor, or if they didn't fit academic or athletic or whatever the school was,
Yeah.
they often identified as like just a regular kid. And I remember thinking, even as a kid, like if they're not celebrated at home or they don't have something else, they're going to grow up thinking they're just a like an average person because they're an average kid. And even though I fit the system, I always butted up against that. I hated seeing others believe that in themselves. So, yes, I have very much gravitated to wanting to support others to shine.
Fascinating. And you really do live and emanate spiritual values. When did that become conscious for you?
Mm. I wonder when it did.
Or has it always just been innately known?
Well, again, looking back, it's so fascinating. Looking back, I used to call myself an animal whisperer.
Yeah.
And whether I could or couldn't, I don't know. But when in my early 20s, I was working as an outdoor educator, and this a colleague of mine brought his girlfriend, and she said that she could hear animals, read animals. And I'd never been privy to that before, at least not
Mm-hmm.
that I was conscious of.
Yeah.
And and I was like, "Can you really?" She goes, "Cindy, you might be able to do it too." She goes, "Look at these horses. Do you feel anyone might need some more support than others?" And I didn't feel any like big hit or anything, but I just was like, "Oh yeah, it's that one, the back leg." And she's like, "It is." I'm like, "Really?" Like, and I even me saying that, it sounds like it was like doo doo doo. And I've had a couple of experiences like that, which I think because it just felt like it just is what it is. And I never, it's not like I saw this energy unfold in this light and I could tap into it. It just kind of felt really practical.
But I love the way that you're talking about it in such a grounded kind of, huh? Yeah, there it is. I
Yes,
think sometimes we try to make it seem more grand somehow rather than there are those of us that have it really just quite embodied, And other people will say to me, but Kay, that's just so natural to you. It's not to other people. And I'm like, huh, yeah, it is.
definitely. Because for you, were you always like, did you always know? Like you asked me if I was conscious. I don't know how conscious I was or if it was just the way it was. For
Yeah.
you, is that the same or were you very aware when you were younger?
At the age of 5, I knew I'd chosen to be here because I
Mm.
used to ask to go home. I used to say to God at night when Mum had tucked me in, God, you don't know how hard it is here. Take me home. And I know I have to be back in the morning. But as a child, you don't question it. You're not looking for understanding. It was just a knowing that made sense to me. And I didn't try to compartmentalize it. And I look back now, I knew I was dancing with energy because I loved to dance. I knew I felt the cow that came to me. and I felt us merge, and then I'm singing a song to it. I knew what I was doing without thinking this is what I'm doing. It got harder for me as I got older. So was I consciously aware? I was aware, but not consciously in the sense of understand, oh, this is what you're doing, and most people don't do this, Kaye. Do you know what I mean? So
I
hearing
do.
souls, reading people's energy, feeling what they were feeling, all of that, I knew what I was doing, but I didn't know it to be different to everybody else until I
Right.
got older.
Right.
Yeah.
And then did you feel pushback, or people like what made you start to go, oh, this is a bit, I'm different, or it's a
Because
bit.
I wasn't fitting in, I realized I didn't think like everybody else, right? So I had problems with lots of girls and bullying and people turning on me, and I would just be standing there going, but can't we all be friends? Like I just knew love. Like you, I saw the best in people. I could see parts of themselves they couldn't yet recognize. So I
Mm.
then found the world to be harsh
Oh, right.
and misaligned with I really couldn't comprehend why people would be so unkind to each other. Like it just, why did we have to only have a best friend? Why couldn't we 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us? It just, so that's when things for me changed, like it does for a lot of people,
Mm.
because you realize, or I realized I was very different. I thought differently and I functioned differently.
Yeah.
And like you, I, I would also, well, I don't know whether you did this, but I would stand up for the underdog. And I didn't care if it was a teacher that was being unkind. I would call it out. I
Oh,
had that, that I say I'm a truth seeker, then I become a truth speaker. I was like that in school. And I would call out the teacher and say, you don't have the right to make her feel small. Why are you doing, do you know what I mean? Because I could
that's
see what would be
amazing.
happening to the person. And then,
Yeah.
as you say, then they come out and they feel like they're this or they're that. And that's no, no. And no one has the right. So I didn't recognize hierarchy. I just thought we're all people here. I don't care how old you are or who you are or that you're the teacher or that you'll send me to the headmaster or headmistress. I don't care. This is wrong. Yeah.
See, that I find really where I'm similar and where I'm different to that is I underdog for sure. Like if I see something going on that feels injustice, I can access my voice very quickly,
Yeah.
hugely. And I never, I never use the word boss. I never ever, I'm like, no one is the boss of me. I
Yeah.
I've been employed only a couple times in my life, and even then, I didn't ever call them my boss. It just didn't feel right. And when I see people in uniforms or women or policemen, yeah, I was like, they're humans, but they can't treat me with any less respect. We're humans, right?
Yes. Yeah.
But where I was different is that I definitely didn't want to get in trouble. I definitely, yeah, I didn't want that. But I wouldn't think about that if it was other people. Like
Yeah.
I had kind of a joke. I've visited 2 different jails in South America, and one of them was because I spoke up with injustice. I'm like, no, 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 no. And even in Delhi, when my husband and I, we were just gotten engaged while we were traveling through Nepal and Tibet and into India. This mother and this daughter were having an issue with all these local men. Like really late at night, we were coming back, and I didn't even think. I just went straight in
Yeah.
and to support them. And my husband, luckily, he diffused it. And the next day, I was incognito, wearing like braiding my hair and wearing hats. But when it came to myself in certain situations, I didn't have full access to my voice.
Mm.
So that's why a big part of my work is I've understood part of why the good girl gone rogue, and you heard some of the stories in the show.
Yeah.
It's me actually going, well, it's here and it can activate, but I also need it for myself. I need to have that alignment, and it's there. But how do I untangle myself? What I call like the good girl conditioning,
Yeah.
that mutes it, right? So that's been my journey, personally and professionally.
When was the intersection, Cindy, of when you brought that awareness into the fact that, hold on a moment, I'm performing as a good girl in certain areas of my life, and I call it turning that vision inwards, when we sort of start to really look more deeply into our patterning and our conditioning, and then also the uniqueness of the souls that we are as well.
Yeah.
But when was that? When was the intersection of that time for you?
I feel like there was these little drip moments. And then, so eh, one moment is so clear for me is I was 18. My dad, who was like my soulmate, like in many ways, like even when he passed away when I was 22, some of his colleagues were like, you and your dad were just so deeply connected. And we really
Wow.
were. And I say that because he just knew I was carrying a lot, like just emotionally. He just knew.
Yeah.
And he asked me to go to one of our favorite restaurants. And it was the first time. So I'm 18, nearly 19, and he keeps asking just gently questions. And I finally just went, bleh, and I cried and I just let everything out. And it was my first experience of sharing, like really sharing pain from
Yeah.
my heart. And I felt lighter from the sharing. Whereas before, I was the person that people would come to. And it's not like I didn't share certain things with like close friends. But I think the weight, I still was like, I'm the person who needs to be strong for everybody. And so I think there was something there that was a pivotal moment of me going,
Yeah.
oh, I can even say like I'm upset. Right.
Yeah.
So that was a moment. My accident, my big workplace flying fox accident was really huge for me. Understanding, going through the feelings like I betrayed myself by knowing that something was wrong and unsafe, but instead of backing myself, deciding to put other people's enjoyment, other people's choices ahead of my own knowing, and not being willing to step into discomfort of having a conversation that could put people out, and then the physical decades-long unraveling physically from that.
And can you share with the listeners what
Sure.
happened for you? Because what
Sure.
you've just spoken holds so much power.
Yeah.
I feel like they sort of need to really, you know what took place.
Of course, of
Yeah.
course. So it was the first time I was in Australia, and it was my dream job. I had actually wanted to work for this organization in Africa, but I didn't have enough youth at risk experience. So
Yeah.
I found myself here. And so just to set up, it was post my dad dying. So it was kind of a healing place for me and a place for me to connect with him because we were outdoor adventurers together.
Yeah.
I was living my dream life, healing from the death of my dad, as an outdoor educator, like using the outdoors, like abseiling, rock climbing, whitewater rafting, expedition, like sleeping under the stars. Like,
That's not a job.
no, it was like a calling. And it was, oh my gosh, like I would read like Ralph, Waldo Emerson, and I really was like, this is amazing. And so I was nearly a year into that when we were back in the snowy mountains, in Victoria, Australia. And we had set up. So what happens is we set up the ropes courses. So most people know what ropes courses are. There's often a
Yeah.
low ropes course, obstacles, and then you climb up and do a high ropes experience that culminates in a zip line or a flying fox. Same thing. So we set those up, and we always test them, and especially the zip line. And we do all these safety checks to make sure that they're safe.
Yeah.
My group was the first one. We'd been together for about 2 days, and it's about 10 days that we spend together with these groups. And my group was the first one to go to the ropes course, where my coordinator met me and told me that they had changed the braking system. And the moment she started to explain the change they made on the system, my entire body went heavy and hot, and like it was a no. Like my whole body
Oh,
screamed
chills. Yeah.
no, right? And even logically, like they added a couple extra pieces. They added a participant to hold this rope out of the way, this extra rope. And it just didn't make sense to me here. My body went no. But what happened in a quick span of a moment, I
Mm.
have how many? 18, 17-year-old boys who are super excited to get going.
Yeah.
I have this coordinator who's been there for about 5 or 6 years. She's older than me. She's run this stuff a long time. She felt very confident with the new decision. And it was kind of one of those moments where maybe she knows better than me, right?
Oh, dear.
I didn't want to disappoint the boys. I didn't want to,
Yeah.
it was one of those moments. And so I just pushed it down and, I'm innately positive. I instructed one of the boys to hold the rope as she had told me. And at my peak speed, this rope that was supposed to be out of my way was suddenly in my way. And I basically, the rope flicked itself, wrapped itself around me, knotted on itself. So as I'm mid-flight, it snapped me forward and back. And I flew home in a spinal brace,
Oh,
being told I would never run again. I'd had to learn how to walk. Like I could still walk. I don't want to paint it any different. I could still walk, but every movement was painful.
yeah.
And it was decades of unraveling physically and then, of course, emotionally from that one choice.
Yeah. The one choice that overrode every part of you knew something wasn't right.
Yeah.
They're the tough lessons, aren't they?
They are huge. And you know what's so powerful, Kay, is because I'm finishing off my book right now as well.
Yeah.
Same title as the show, Good Girl Gone Rogue.
Yeah.
In the final draft of this book, it suddenly hit me. And I'd never truly embodied this understanding that that was the best friggin' thing that could have happened to me.
Mm.
I've only ever I mean, I know people say, when someone passes on or they've gone through something, they say that was so important. I'm so blessed. I love to say that I felt blessed that happened. I didn't. As I would
Yeah, let's be honest
I
about it.
knew,
Yeah.
I knew I grew in empathy. I could understand people with chronic pain because I had it for so long, and
Yeah.
I've actually been able to heal through it beyond chronic pain. I knew I had insights and lived experience through that. But it was the first time I realized that actually was the snap to start shifting
Yeah.
my conditioning. I was just so focused on the physical healing of it, but every bit of that, those choices took me to activate my voice.
Wow.
So to be able to say that is just so enlightening for me, and not to say it because it sounds
Is it
good.
freeing? I
Yeah.
find when I have those moments, it's freeing.
Yes. Yes. It's like, thank you. Thank you. Because I do believe life's working, like is unfolding for me.
Yeah.
However, did I really fully believe that? I believe part of it. So I was still kind of blocking that notion on some level.
Yeah, but what I think is really beautiful about this, Cindy, is, I mean, I've been really deeply reflecting and having conversations with people about the fact, one, we're not broken at a soul level, right? We don't need healing. But we also have to address that we've come into this playground as human
Mhm.
beings where we do feel broken, or where we do feel where things are unfair, and both can walk side by side together.
Mm.
right? So, like when I walked the Camino, I was in excruciating pain towards the end, but also incredibly joyously present with my surroundings, right? And that we can have that knowing that everything is happening for us, but humanly, sometimes it takes time for us to really know what that gem was.
Yes.
And I
So
think
true.
sometimes spiritually we want, I've asked the powerful question and I want that answer now. But the journey that you've taken and now completing your book to have this land
Yeah.
feels to me exquisitely beautiful. Like the petals have been opening and suddenly there's the bloom, but it
Yeah.
needed to take the time to reach full bloom.
It so did. And I think it's one thing to have acknowledged it within myself and to feel it, but even having these conversations, I get to feel it again because it's quite new.
Yes. Yeah.
It's quite new. And Kate, give me one sec. My dog hears us and he's going like this.
Okay. You've brought your beautiful companion into the room with you. I love it because this is real life conversations, isn't it, Cindy? You know,
It is. It is.
dogs
And
tapping at the
animals.
door or,
Yeah,
yeah,
he feels the energy. He's like, I want to come in and join.
I want to be part of it. Yeah. So that, yeah, what we were talking about was, things will bloom, answers will come.
Mm,
And I know that the older I get, I look back on life and I've seen magnificence in it. But the view, like going to the top of the mountain,
yeah.
sometimes it just continues to make sense. It continues to become more and more purposeful, glorious, you know, divinely orchestrated.
It does, and that's why I'm such a believer. We need each other. We need these types of conversations
Yes.
to be reminded sometimes, or to be the reminder.
Yeah.
You're in the meadow right now, and you'll have another view in no time, right?
Yes.
Uh, yeah, because I know that I still need those reminders from time to time.
Well, don't we all? Don't we all? And when I went to your show, and I'm so glad, and we'll get to why you created this and how the idea came. But I'd just like to share with you that, talking about conversations and how important conversations are, and also the openness and the honesty of the journey within our conversations and the authenticity. You, every woman in that space was nodding and laughing, and it really brought us all together in the
Mm.
journey and that acknowledgement of, what we go through that women don't often talk about. But it continued afterwards. When I went out with the other girlfriends that had come with me, and that conversation continued and got deeper, and it just brings us all together on the path.
Mm.
Um, and that's a beautiful, beautiful thing that you've done. It's not just a performance you go to see. It's not just, an hour or whatever it is of some laughter. And it is igniting conversations and connection, and not feeling, not that I felt alone, because I have a lot of these conversations because of the work that I do, but recognizing that it takes away sometimes some isolation when our voices aren't heard, when we don't speak openly in this way. So what sparked the idea for this in the first place, that is having this depth and ripple effect?
Oh gosh. So just before I answer that, I just want to say how important it is for me to have heard what you just shared, because that to me is so incredibly important in the work that I do.
Uh-huh.
And when I saw women staying after the first performance, like I understand that, friends and colleagues, that's amazing alone.
Yeah.
But and others who randomly came to the show, right? Well, randomly,
Yeah.
but chose to come to the show
Yeah.
and still waited till I said hello to people I knew, and then I happened to see them in the corner, and they would just talk about what that brought up for them. And then I'd see them in the corner, or I'd find out later, just like I am right now, that the conversation, ensued.
Yes.
And that to me is exactly one of the goals, the intentions that I had with the show. Like probably more in my heart, but without trying to make it, make it all contrived.
Yes, yeah,
So I love hearing that. I love that you and your girlfriends that sparked that. Even those of you, because you and your friends would have these conversations,
yeah,
but to be able to have a theme and have different stories that would probably land for all of you differently at different stages of your life.
yeah.
And to be able to even just discuss those, it's rich and we get to go deeper than just the quick what's going on in your life. Quickly catch me up.
It's a
Yeah.
coaching session as well. Do you know what I mean? It's like we were sitting there going, that, that's like an amazing coaching session. That's an incredible keynote. That was so experiential, the conversations. And you are a coach and involved like I am with leadership and leading sort of from the inside out. And it
Yeah.
was like that one woman show encapsulated all of what you seem to represent and work with.
Oh, I love this. I love this. Okay, well then let me answer the other question. So how did this come up? It's been in my mind for a while to like, wouldn't it be amazing to do a one woman show? And the last 2 years, I'm redefining myself, and I very poignantly as a Renaissance woman. I really buck up against trying to fit myself into a category. You know what it's like as a speaker. Not me, like, do
Yeah.
you speak on leadership? Do you, are you an inspirational speaker? But even then, it's often like you need to have had a really huge, specific life experience to fit into these speaker bureau categories, like the Suns, all of these. And I'm always like, I would pull my hair out trying to fit or figure that out when I'm like, I just don't feel like I can fit into any of them.
Well, as a shaman involved in leadership, I can completely relate.
I knew you would. I knew you would, right? And so it was a combination of going, I feel this call to just, I'm a poet, I'm a performer, I'm a coach,
Yeah.
I'm a teacher. I'm also goofy and daggy, as much as I'm a really deep thinker.
Yeah.
So there was a part of me that's like, I'm kind of open. And some interesting things started opening up for me. Like a friend who works for this company said, would you model for the company? I'm like, of course I would. So
Fantastic.
I had this paid modeling stint to model these beautiful clothes outside by the river. And then a couple little acting thing came up to act on this little, anyways, this TV thing. And
Yeah.
I was like, I love being open for these types of experiences. It really fits me. And I love just connecting with the people who are part of these creative experiences, even if I'm there for 2 hours.
What does
So,
saying, sorry, Cindy, but what does saying yes create for you?
oh, well, it has to be the right yes. So I don't want to say
Okay.
yes to everything. But when I say yes, my heart just goes, whoo, because I'm so open to the experience
Yeah.
and I'm very present, like very, very present. When friends of mine who work in film, they needed someone a few years ago just to help out, like help bring talent. So the actors get them to wait outside and then bring them into makeup. They just were short somebody. And they said, I was in the neighborhood and they said, is there any chance? I'm like, sure. And Kate, talking about loneliness, I had the best morning simply meeting and greeting people
Yeah.
and saying, we can't go in yet. Who are you? Finding about why they chose to be actors or part-time performers. And then I bring them into makeup. I'd chat with the makeup person. And then I see who, anybody on set, the director, anyone wanted coffees. I'd run to our local coffee shop, grab the coffees. I came home that day and went, that filled me up
Yeah.
to no end. Like, so when I say yes, it's that I don't know what I'm going to experience, but the
Uh-huh.
yes feels so good that I'm just going to show up. And
I
I
love that.
love the connections.
Yeah, I love that.
Mm.
Yeah, I feel like the driver in you is whatever you're doing, be of service.
And see, that's the fine line, right?
Yeah.
Because when we're not aware of some of our, good girl conditioning,
Yeah.
we can misinterpret service or please
Hmm.
for serving others.
Yes.
And so true service, yes, for sure. But let's be mindful of what that actually
Yeah.
means.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of the show, so again, I had these little ideas of like I'd love to explore performing again. I don't even know what a one-woman show would look like. I don't even think I've seen a one-woman show. I mean, I saw the movie Shirley Valentine, and I would have loved to see the actual play, like the stage, the
Yes.
play version of
Yeah.
it. Because I haven't, I'm not really sure. Is she just monologuing it the whole time? I didn't know. And I thought, well, where do I do this? And a woman just happened to sit on a plane um, on our final trip back from Canada. We're talking about 8 months ago now.
Hmm.
And we only started talking the last 20 minutes to arriving back into Perth. And she was a performer. She is a performer. She does improv. She was on her way
Oh
to the
God, I love it.
Edinburgh Fringe Festival to teach and act, perform in multiple shows. And she came from Alberta. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Uh-huh.
We both, a producer, so I did work in the film industry for a while. A producer I worked with is really good friends with her and her husband. And they all did clowning classes together. And so and then my podcast producers, one of them just started doing improv, or both of them had started doing improv in the last year.
Yeah.
Never done acting, never even came into their sphere. And they decided to do an improv show in Fringe. So I'm just getting this fringe, fringe, fringe. And I didn't know if you had to audition for it. I didn't know how it worked. And when I went online, I only had like, I think a week to I had to say what my show was. I hadn't actually written it yet, get
Yeah.
an image, so I threw that together. And then I had about 6 weeks to do it. And I will
Which is
say,
not long. If you have not done this before, that's not long at all.
and it was over Christmas and school holidays, and I've still got an 11-year-old,
Yeah.
of which we want to spend that time and together. And the interesting thing, Kay, is this book has been like a 12-year journey. My
Yeah.
husband calls it, he goes, the never-ending story. But writing this script was so easy. And every single moment of writing it, coming out with the idea of it,
Yeah.
staging it, performing it was a joy.
Wow.
Every second. Easy. So that's how it came about.
Wow. And then you delivered it and then some.
And the first time I delivered it, you know what I felt sitting in the back? So what happens, I kind of hide behind the backstage, and then I come
Yeah.
out. I'm back there and I can hear people filling up. And the first night, you came to the second or third show, I think. My husband, and so I had more family probably coming the first night, and
Yeah.
my son came too, and they were sitting out close. My son would run around the back to say hi to me. And
Yeah.
then I go, hi. And then I tell him, maybe you go back in the audience now. When I heard people come in and my husband's voice, I felt like my 10-year-old self who would put on little shows in our basement
Yeah.
back in Canada, or little baton twirling performances with my neighborhood friend, and we'd charge
Yeah.
neighbors like 10 cents to see us. That is literally how I felt. Like I
Yeah.
am about to go and play in front of friends and family and whoever else came.
Yeah.
How cool is this?
It was very cool. Very cool. And I hope it's not the end of that one woman show, because its message and
Mm.
how it's delivered lands profoundly. And hence we were saying it was like a coaching session. That was like a, spiritual insight session. That was a keynote talking about the speaking,
Yeah.
and even coming back to that, I've learned in my 61 years that we can actually only be our most authentic self. And the uniqueness about me being, the blonde, blue-eyed fauna shaman, even in the keynote speaking journey that I've been taking, is we don't ever design ourselves to fit in terms of keynote, for bureau, for people, for whatever. We can adapt,
Mm.
right? But that core essence, that is our magic.
Yeah.
And energy is everything, and everything is energy. So when
Mm.
we stay true to this uniqueness of how we move through the world, how we express in the world, how we be in the world, it won't be for everybody. Just like, two notes on a piano don't go together and two notes do.
Yeah.
And so there is a place for me in corporate keynote speaking, and there is a place for
Uh-huh.
you in what you're doing and how you do it.
Yeah.
But it's as long as we stand there in full authenticity of our uniqueness.
Absolutely. And allow ourselves, or anyone who's listening, allow yourself to keep exploring until you know what that is.
Yeah.
I don't think it's up here. Like, bring it back to the show. I just wanted a chance to try performing instead of speaking.
Yeah.
Let me just try just doing it as a performer. And again, it'd been a
Yeah.
long time since I'd been a performer. Even as a speaker, yes, I'm a storyteller and I'll tell stories,
Yeah.
but to embody it a little bit differently. And what I felt was, like I said, absolutely pure joy. And
Yes.
I'd love to know what you feel when you stand in there, because as much as I love speaking, I really do. And I might find that midway point, or I might
Mm.
just some of this or a bit of that. I'm open. It's just going to be
Yeah.
when something comes so easily and there's joy and a certain amount of people, the people who it really deeply resonates,
Yeah.
that's when like,
Yeah.
And as much as I've had other ones that have landed and have had great feedback and I've enjoyed, this was so different. So
Uh-huh.
I really love, like, listeners to just give yourself the openness to be that explorer, uh, to allow yourself to play with things until you kind of have that feeling. Or once you have that feeling, keep following it, right?
Yes.
Because that is the path that is the most authentic to us.
Oh, that's so beautifully said. Really
Yeah.
beautifully said.
And I'd
Yeah.
love to hear you, Kay, like, in your words, when you are speaking authentically on whatever stages you choose that are in
Yeah.
alignment with you, what do you feel?
Oh, the very first time in my 20s when I was asked to speak, I tried to sort of plan it out as such, and I failed. I stopped partway through and I said, "Guys, I'm really sorry. I'm just going to ditch this." And because when I speak, and I had that sort of same lesson, I'm part of a program to elevate, what I'm stepping into, and address bureaus and all that kind of stuff. And I had to go over to Sydney and do 5 minutes of my keynote, and I'd written it out, and I was sitting there and trying to learn it. Now, I've done a lot of acting in school and was usually leads, and I can remember things. This was such a struggle. And
Mm.
in the end, my husband was on the phone and he goes, "Just do what you always do and stop trying to learn it." word perfectly. And even in the meditation in the morning when I align myself, my knowing was as clear as anything. Do not look at that talk again. Right? Because also when I speak, it's about energy for me. Everything's about energy for me. So if I go into my head, I'm not doing this beautiful dance where the energy via the words, via sound, comes from me, touches the audience, and a part of their energy comes back, and this beautiful cyclical exchange and dance starts to happen. So if I'm learning word perfectly, I'm not doing that energetic dance, and I'm not able to adapt language that where I might say the same thing, but the language is like a transmission to me of exactly how I need to say it for them.
Yeah.
So they're not just hearing me. Audience will say they feel me, something's shifting. I don't know what you did when you spoke, but I'm feeling something. Right? And that's part of what I'm here for. So if I go with an agenda, if I go with, with it trying to be about me or, perfection in words and yes, here's my script, it'll never work for me.
Yeah.
Because that's not who and how I am. That's not where my intention comes from. There's no energy dance. The same as I don't script anything in podcasting. Sometimes someone will go, oh, do you have specific questions that you can send me? And I'm like, no, and most people that come on will have one point of, wow, that's a good question. And they have to feel the response, right? Not just throw out generic, stuff from the head. So I suppose for me, it's a little bit like I come out of it just with a feeling of, wow, right? Not wow me, just wow that whole energetic experience where I feel expanded, where they feel expanded. It's beyond words of what just took place. It's all about feeling. Because it's not about me. It's not about a script. It's not, do you know what I mean? I always know the intention of what I'm going to be speaking about. So there's a framework, I suppose, but there's got to be the freedom for that energy to move between me and everybody else from soul to soul. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you ditched the script, woman.
I did, and at the end of it, the coach was like, did you just see what she did? And I'm like, what did I do? To how I walked on, to how I actually did what no one else did, where I just looked at every face.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And brought them in rather than just walk out and talk.
Yeah.
And I think that's the only way that I can move through this world in anything that I personally do. It just has to have that natural energetic flow.
Yeah.
From me to someone back to me, and a beautiful tapestry of energy gets woven. But that's how I function in the world. And I had that reminder again of I can't change that. This is my secret sauce. Do you know what I mean? This is how Kaye is. This is when Kaye's at her best. This is the power of Kaye speaking. Because everything at the heart of it is about a remembering who I am, an activation of a remembering for where those words land for people. It's a remembering. And there you go. As I say that's what took place, which is probably why I related and so many relate so well to it, because it was like a remembering in being in the audience, in what you were doing, because there were no hidden agendas. You were just doing Cindy.
Yes. And my intention going out, there's a real connection here, Kay, because when I went out, what I would say to myself, I'm trying to remember the words, but it was, uh, wish I could remember what I said. But it was before music starts and I have my entry, I just get really quiet with myself. Like I know some
Yeah.
people sort of pump themselves up and,
Yeah.
but I just get very quiet. I just get very, very quiet. And I just like whatever I say, all that, it's more about the feeling and aligned feeling. And I
Yeah.
remember saying on the first night, back every single choice that you make up there. Because remember, I had never done a full rehearsal of this show.
Yeah.
I knew the pieces, and I'd rehearsed little pieces in the dog park near my house or in my living room.
Really? You'd never actually done a run through?
My
Wow.
first show was my run through. And so I remember going like, there's one piece where I'm like, how do I do that? And it's where it's the Good Girl Galaxy piece. And I was just drawn to
Yeah.
go a little cuckoo. And I'm like, never done that before. But I'm like, back it. Back it. Because
Oh,
until you energetically back your choices,
love it.
you won't know if it works for the audience, if it works for you, but you've got an instinct to try it, back it. So that was me going, back every choice, Cindy. And you know what? Regardless, it's about a feeling that people are going to feel because you've got to be it here. And that's how I went. And I think having music to start was really helpful for me because you
Yeah.
not get into it when you move your body and you dance.
The power of what you're saying and of what you're sharing, listeners, take that one on as your mantra. Just back the decisions that you make. I love it. It's so, a client that just recently went through my 12-week program used to say, that was a sneaky program, Kay. It was so simple and so darn profound. Just back it is the same thing. It sounds so simple, but it's so profound to apply it to yourself and the decisions and the choices that you make. So thank you so much for sharing that. That's a gem. There's been so many.
And I like
Many.
hearing it back because again, I hear my own wisdom come out. I'm like, right, Cindy, keep backing. Like I need to hear it myself consistently. It's not a one-timer, right?
I got coached years ago by someone who's now a dear friend and a dear colleague and came to the show and I did the one-on-one with her and she came back one week and she started reading and I'm like, oh my God, that's amazing. And she said, Kay, they're your words. And
That's
so
right.
that thing of like, huh? Like that's a true story. No ego. I'm just like, that's incredible. And she's laughing, going, these are your words, Kay. I'm just reading them back to you.
Do you have this experience? I have this experience that when I'm writing or creating something,
Yep.
when I see it outside of me, like it's on a page, but it shows up differently than my scribbles or thoughts or it's set up professionally, like when my
Yeah.
editor works and then I look back at it, I'm like, sometimes I'll read certain things like, oh, that's so good. And I'll lean in and I'm learning. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm learning from myself. Those are my words. Those are and it's sometimes we just need to have it outside. Like
Yeah.
we're so in this vacuum that we
Yep.
need it out to be able to look back at it and to hear the wisdom, to see the life experience, right?
Yes.
It's so important.
And it's okay to know that you've just written something incredible or created something incredible. That's not the ego, right? That's just an acceptance of sometimes those magnificent moments that we have, the wisdom that we carry, the whatever it might be. And I love that we can celebrate it in each other because in particularly, I know you work with women as well, and I predominantly work with women. I think that's so important to really shine that mirror back up going, what you just said then, what you just wrote, that's gold.
Yes.
Well
Yeah.
done, sister.
Yes,
Yeah.
and to vocalize it, because sometimes we think it
Yeah.
and it doesn't always come out of our mouth,
Yeah.
right? To
Yeah.
vocalize, like, if you think that was amazing, yeah, say it, because
Yeah.
it goes far.
Beautiful. Beautiful. I could talk to you for ages. This is the podcast Inner Voice of Knowing,
Yeah.
gorgeous woman. So I like to finish with the question, do you feel that you have an inner voice of knowing? And if so, how has it served you, or how does it serve you?
Absolutely. I have an inner voice of knowing it, and it's always there. It's
Uh-huh.
just it's being mindful to allow it to be the strongest voice
Yeah.
that leads my days and leads my choices. And when I make that decision to do that regularly, it leads me to the most beautiful experiences. And some of those experiences are like, wow, like external experiences.
Yeah.
And it leads me to a very incredible moment to moment experience, being very, very present,
Yeah.
and trusting each moment. Not that everything has to be filled or has to happen right away. Like there's a real trust. And what was the second part of that question, Kay? Yes, I do. And there's
And how it's been, how does it, serve you, which I think you've spoken about. And also you spoke earlier on, the accident that when you didn't listen to it.
Yeah, when we didn't listen to it, we're still going to learn lessons.
Yeah.
We will, period. And again, sometimes they're going to be hard lessons, sad lessons, frustrating lessons. And yet there's still lessons that our voice is
Yeah.
always there for us. And
Yeah.
to link back in that it's not like you betrayed it. You just tuned into a different frequency for a little while. And that's okay. And
Yeah.
it's always there. And having a podcast here like Kay's, hey, come in to see my show, which is going on tour. But there's always going to be reminders that will come in and remind us to come back to that voice and to fortify it. As strong as my inner voice is right now, I absolutely have the capacity to allow it to become even stronger and
Yes.
louder and more poignant. I know I do. And to make daily choices and create daily habits and routines that work for me that might need to shift depending on where I'm at in a given stage of life, to allow that voice to be louder and lead.
That is beautiful. So we will put some links in the description. So you said that that the stage, One Woman Show, is going on tour.
Yes, yeah, it's a WA tour, and then I'm gonna do a national or international tour next year. Bring it back to Canada.
Fantastic.
The book will be done at the end of 2026 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, so stay tuned.
So if you want to just reach out and connect with Cindy, if you want to perhaps give her your name and say, I want a copy of the book when it's out, if you want to find out ways to work with her, also your podcast. So we'll put the podcast link and whatever link you give us, Cindy, for people to be able to connect with you if they feel really drawn to. Thank you so much for being on. I'm glad your knowing said yes to being on this podcast, beautiful woman.
Oh, hands down. It's such an honor. Thank you, Kay, for all you do, all you bring, all your showing up, all the scripts you're like tearing and sending waves of love for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Join me on my next episode. And if you love this podcast, please subscribe by clicking on the plus button if you're on Apple, or like and follow on Spotify. Rate and review. And please share Inner Voice of Knowing with your friends.